Guys, this might be the most important video I will ever upload on my channel because today I'm sharing with you my personal strategy on how to invest in altcoins. This strategy is normally only used by VCs and market makers, and not many people out there know about it and using it to their advantage. And I can already tell you it is not only completely risk neutral, but on top of that, besides making nice gains with the altcoins, especially in bull runs, or if you are entering into a position after a big correction, you on top of that can use the profits that you are cashing out to generate a return of up to 20% a year, completely downside protected. I know this might sound a little bit like clickbait, but just give me a couple of minutes and you will be shocked on what people are missing out on, which only the big market makers and VCs are currently using in the cryptocurrency space. I mean, people that are following me on my German channel for many years already, they know about this strategy, but now I think it is time that I'm also sharing it on my English channel. This strategy does not only make use of the leverage function on cryptocurrency exchanges, and we are not going to use the leverage to risk any of our capital. We are actually going to use this strategy with a 1x leverage in the beginning. That's why I said we are going to stay completely risk neutral. It's going to be the exact same way as if you would be buying these assets spot, but what you can do later on will completely blow your mind. And on top of that, when taking profits, we will make use of the funding fees. I will explain to you in a second exactly what that is and how you can use it to generate an interest of 20 or sometimes even more % on the profits that you are then taking to accumulate more cash for the time the market is correcting, where you can then jump into new positions with the exact same strategy and really start benefiting of a compounding effect over a couple of years, instead of just trying to time the market with perfectly buying at the bottom and perfectly selling at the top, which almost no trader is able to do successfully actually. So guys, stick around, this will get interesting. The first thing you will need is an account on a leveraged exchange. For beginners, I highly recommend you Levex. I put a link into the video description down below. If you want to support me like a lot of other people out there already do, you can sign up with my link at Levex or at Bitunix and BitGet. For this strategy, I actually recommend you to use all three of these exchanges, and I will show you specific data on why you should use exactly these for this strategy. There is an exact reasoning behind this, and I will show you this based on the data in a couple of minutes. Guys, I actually organized a 20% fee discount on each of these exchanges if you are signing up with my link. As a thank you for supporting me, I'm giving back a large amount of the small amount that I would normally receive when you are paying fees on these exchanges, which you are doing anyway. So I'm giving back 20% of reduced fees to you guys. This is how you have the cheapest fees and you can still support me a little bit. And this is also how I'm completely able to share all of this information for free and publicly. As you guys know, I'm not selling any courses or stuff like this. I'm always sharing everything completely for free on YouTube. So I really appreciate it if you would go down to the description down below and use my links to sign up on all three of these platforms. I will tell you exactly why you need all of these three to use this strategy properly based on the numbers in a second. So first of all, a lot of people would normally just go ahead and buy altcoins spot. You would, for example, in our example now have $10,000. You would go to the spot market, buy 68 Solana, and you would let these Solana sit. Maybe you will wait for 100% increase, 200% increase, 300% increase, and then you might start selling these Solana again, and you will get a nice amount of profit. And this is pretty much it. You will then be back in USD or whatever fiat currency you were originally trading in, and you pretty much are then out of the market again. You are not making use of any interest that you could get. You are not making use of the fact that you can actually use this capital that you put in the meantime to buy other currencies to increase the amount of capital exposure you have, especially in a bull market, or that you would have after a big correction when you are entering the market with a big correction. And what I am telling you is that you can use leverage to your advantage. The first thing you will need to do is for sure have an exchange account. This is the basic, and you can then navigate to futures. This is the same on all of these exchanges. Select the altcoin you want to buy, click on transfer, right? This is not seen because of my face cam. You can click here on transfer, and from your spot wallet you just transfer your USDT or USDC into your futures account. What you then can do is just select a leverage of 1x for the long position. If you are selecting a 1x leverage, you are not exposed to any liquidation risk, so it is exactly the same as if you would be buying spot. So when you are opening this position, you just go on market, you enter the amount of Solana you want to buy, for example 50, 60, whatever it may be. It will be the same cost if you would be buying at spot. And what will happen then is that you will open a position. And in the first place, yes, this position can go in a loss. Your spot buying can also go in a loss, but this position cannot get liquidated. And now the big benefit comes in. As soon as your position is in a profit, you will be able to take out the margin again and use it for additional buying of currencies. Normally, if you would be buying spot, you have no way of getting your $10,000 out again. The only way would be in selling Solana. So for example, if we would have a 100% increase in the price of Solana, you can sell half of it and you would have $10,000 available again. What you can do now, if you open the position with a 1x leverage instead on a leverage platform like Levex, Bitunix or BitGet, as I said, I would for this strategy recommend you to spread out the position. So put $3,000 for example with the $10,000 on each. I will explain to you exactly why, because this will be important if you want to make use of the up to 20% interest that you can get on your profits downside protected later on. And I will show you the numbers in a second why BitGet and Bitunix are by far the best exchanges to do this strategy. What you will do then is you will just increase your leverage after you're in a profit. So let's say the price moved up by 50%, we are in a bull market or a correction is over and you entered at a lower price of the correction. The nice thing is if you are entering with 1x, you have a very calm mind. So even if the price dips a little bit lower, you have no risk of getting liquidated. As soon as the price goes up again and you are in a profit with your position, what you will do is you will increase the leverage, but not first. What you first will do is place a take profit, or better to say a stop loss order. A stop loss order is an order that will automatically close your trade as soon as a certain price is reached. So let's say, I mean, in this example, Solana didn't really move far away from our current entry price. So this is now just for an example. But let's say you entered Solana at $148 and now in our example, Solana should be at like $200, $210 if you really want to use it. But now for this example, I will still show you how it works. You will see the $148 level. And what you will do is you will add a position stop loss. You will go ahead, you will add a stop loss, you will put it by price and you will put it at the exact, for example, $150 level. As you can already see, if the market now reaches this stop loss again, you will actually make $99 in profit. So no matter what happens, if the price goes back to this price level, and assuming that we are now at $200, it is very unlikely that this is going to happen, you will actually not lose any funds. And what you can do now without any risk, and for this, I will actually quickly transfer here the $35,000 that we have currently in our futures account out of the futures account, so you can really see what is going to happen here. As you can see, we now only have $400 in available balance. So now we could not really buy any other altcoins. Our $10,000 are locked into the market. But what we can do now is we can easily scale up our leverage. Let's say we are scaling it up to 25x, for example. The nice thing, there's no risk involved now anymore, because if the price goes to the downside, your trade will get closed in a profit either way. So you could select any leverage you want here without increasing your risk exposure. BitGet has up to 125x leverage, so there even you can make more use of this. You can get even more margin out of your trade again, but to be honest, this is not really needed. Leverage up to 100x that also Bitunix offers, it is more than enough. And what you will just do, you click on confirm, and what you will see here, important is also that you have selected isolated here for the leverage. What you can see here, now the margin for our $10,000 trade is only $400, and as you can see here, we have $10,000 available in our margin once again. So as you can see now, I could use these $10,000 to do the exact same thing with another altcoin. If I now decide that I also want to, for example, buy SUI, I could go to SUI, I could select a 1x leverage over here for the long, boom, confirm. I can enter the market with 100%, buying a total of 2,600 SUI here for $10,000. And as soon as this position is in a profit, I could repeat the same thing. And I can repeat this a lot of times actually, and you will see that without exposing yourself to any risk, you will be able to potentially accumulate 10 altcoins for $10,000 while a correction is finishing out in the markets. Or if you are even in a bear market currently, you can use this strategy very, very profitably. As in the bear market, everything just starts going up and up and up, and you can save your positions, you can open more and more positions, and out of $10,000, without exposing yourself to any risk of the leverage, you will be actually able to, for example, open 10 $10,000 positions on altcoins instead of only one, which will increase your profit in a bull market also by 10x, or in a phase where the market corrected in a bull market and then continues to the upside. So now this is something that is pretty much common sense, and that a lot of people that are maybe a little bit more into leverage trading and investing in crypto already know about. But now I will tell you something that only market makers and VCs are actually making use of. And now I will also show you the data on why this is actually mostly only really profitable possible on BitGet, BitUnix and Levex. Because one thing that is extremely important for this strategy is that the funding fees are on average in a positive amount. And now I will show you the numbers. First of all, we will close the SUI trade here again because I don't want to buy any SUI, and we will focus on Solana for this example here. If we are looking at funding fees, what are funding fees? Funding fees are fees that are being paid from long positions to short positions, or from short positions to long positions. If the market is really bullish and there is a large amount of long positions in the market, the exchanges use this to incentivize people to open short positions to even out the order books and make sure that there is no slippage occurring in the market. And what is the trick here? In the cryptocurrency market, there's almost always, even in a bear market, more people long than short. If we're taking a look here at the funding fees across all exchanges, for example for Bitcoin, you can see that a lot more days they are in a green than they are in a red. And on top of that, they can actually exponentially grow sometimes to 0.1% a day. Not only that, sometimes even 0.8% every 8 hours, because the funding fees are paid every 8 hours. The basis is approximately 0.01, but especially in bull markets, these funding fees go a lot higher. So what you can do now, and why am I telling you that you should definitely do this strategy on BitGet, BitUnix or Levex, is because historically, these are the exchanges that have the most stable positive funding fees. Positive funding fees means the long positions are paying the short positions. And this is exactly what we want to have to take profits out of the altcoin positions that we now have opened in a correction or in a bear market. Let's say now we made a lot of profit, right? We are holding our Solana, and for this example, we are closing now our trade. Maybe you don't want to actually not have your Solana anymore. You want to keep them on the sidelines, but you want to wait for a next correction or even for a bear market to occur to re-enter the market. Don't make the mistake of not buying these Solana back spot as soon as you have closed your position. Let's say we are closing this position now. What we are going to do now for this example, we are just going to act that we have made a little bit more profit, as it's just an example here. We will transfer all of our money to spot. We closed out our positions for our altcoins. And now what we can do is we can go to our spot wallet. Yeah, we can take a look at how much USDT we have. Let's just say for this example, we made out of a $10,000 trade with the strategy I showed you, we made $64,000 because the price increased by 360% or 460%. And what we can now do is we can now just go ahead, go to the USDT market, go to Solana. This works the same on all of these exchanges. You will go ahead and buy half or the exact same amount of Solana that you had back with the USDT profits that you took. So in this example, if we made $64,000, you will now buy for $23,000 Solana, or let's just do it for this example so it's a little bit more easy. We will buy exactly 150 Solana back in the spot market. So now not really a lot has happened. We have 150 Solana again, but what are we going to do with the remaining profit we have? We are going to transfer this actually back to the futures market. And when we are transferring this back to the futures market, we are going to go ahead and going to open a position, and now get this again with only 1x leverage. We are going to open a short position. We will open an exact 150 Solana short position. What now happened is that you have zero risk exposure. If the price is going down, your spot Solana will lose in value, but the same amount you lose, you will make in profit on your short position. If the price continues to moving up, the same amount of loss you are making on your short position, you will make as profit on your spot holdings in dollar. Right now, we took out the profits. We are now back to dollar or to euro. We secured these profits. What is now going to happen with this short position? Every 8 hours, we are going to get the funding fee. Our spot holdings are not exposed to any fees. They are just sitting there. We can even withdraw them to our personal wallet. We don't even need to have them on the exchange anymore. But our short position will now accumulate 0.01% every 8 hours. Or, especially in bullish market phases, up to 0.3% every 8 hours. And keep in mind, this 0.01 at a basis, or in bullish market phases up to 0.3% every 8 hours, you can even compound. You can compound every 8 hours. The money you receive back to your funding wallet, you can actually use 50% of that to buy Solana, 50% more on your short position. And this is how, over, for example, a bear market year, you will be able to farm an interest of up to 20% on most altcoins. And then, when we are at the bottom, you have your Solana, you close your short, you take the profits of the short, you can put them back with a 1x leverage in the exact same strategy. And what will happen, especially with the 20% you are accumulating during the bear market again, and you are accumulating these 20% not on your original $10,000, you are accumulating these 20% on potentially, as I said, you can open with $10,000 now with the strategy 10 positions on altcoins. So you will make profit on $100,000 and then you will make 20% on the profits of $100,000. So if the market goes up 3x on an average in a bull market, or after a correction goes up by 100-200%, you will have made $100,000-$200,000 of profit of your $10,000 without exposing yourself to any additional risk. On top of that, you will make approximately 10-20% interest over the bear market. For example, if the bear market is even 2 years, we are talking about a compounded interest of up to 50% on some altcoin pairs. And this interest then on $200,000-$300,000 profit is $150,000, and it's completely downside protected. So this is how you can see, without exposing yourself to any large leverage risk, you can actually turn $10,000 in a large amount of cash available for the next cycle. Now think about the next cycle when the market is performing again, and you are entering now the bottom with a 1x leverage with, for example, $300,000-$400,000. What happens in the next cycle? This is actually a strategy that only market makers and VCs use, but it is actually highly profitable also for normal people. And now let me show you why you should actually do this strategy on Levex, BitUnix or BitGet. As I said, I put the links in the video description down below. If you want to support me, you get 20% reduced fees, you get nice sign-up bonuses to try these platforms out for free, and you are supporting me by that, which I highly appreciate. That's how I can share all of my content for free. Let's take Bitcoin, for example. As you can see, it is mostly green, but on some exchanges you can see there is a decent amount of red. Let us take now all of these exchanges out of the statistic, and let's only keep BitGet and BitUnix in the statistic, and you will see it completely turns green, and it completely turns green with a very, very nice amount. So what I suggest you to do is focus on the exchanges where historically the funding fees have been stable in a profitable area, because this is only where the strategy works. If you would notice someday that the funding fees go into a negative on either of these platforms, which you can see over here, you can for sure think about closing out both of these positions. You are not losing out on anything once again, as it is completely risk neutral. You just sell your spot, you just close your trade. No matter if what is in a loss or what is in a profit, it's perfectly evened out. Until that happens, you will have farmed these funding rates, and you will, in the best case, have compounded them every 8 hours. What you need to keep in mind here, especially if you're going to BitUnix and BitGet, guys, historically there is really not a lot of negative funding fees in the history of these platforms, and historically in general we have never seen a year where these funding fees are not at least at 10% interest for the year. Really, if you compound even higher. And on altcoins, this is now for Bitcoin, right? On altcoins, this is even higher sometimes. I mean, on altcoins, you sometimes have 30-40% interest a year with funding fees, as so many people are long, and the exchanges need to incentivize people to open short positions. So when the funding fees on the altcoin you are trading are increasing rapidly, are for example at 0.1, 0.2%, you know that the market is a little bit over leveraged. You can also use this as a sign on when to take profits, and then it is time to apply this strategy. You can even apply this strategy step by step. That's why I'm also recommending you to have multiple exchanges for this strategy, as then on one exchange you can keep your long position running that is accumulating nice profits. You can step by step, when the funding fees increase, take this money out and put it into these funding rate positions. And yes, theoretically with these funding rate positions, you could even use a 3x leverage, for example, if the market is fully over leveraged. I mean, then you can even increase your interest even more, but I like to just do it with a 1x, because especially for altcoins, they can go up by 100%, and if they go up by 100%, you need to close your short position, and then you need to take the profits, half of it off the spot position again, and you need to do it again and again, and you are paying a small amount of fees. That's why 20% reduced fees are always nice with my links. So you can just save on that hassle. If you really want to optimize the strategy for sure, then you would only need to buy, for example, with $20,000. If you have $40,000, right, you could buy $30,000 in spot, and you could open the short with a 4x leverage, and then you would be farming with $30,000 instead of $20,000, while still being exposed to no risk. But then you will also need to put a stop loss, and you will need to monitor the position a lot more actively, especially in a bull market. So I like to keep it calm and simple. That's why 1x is definitely fine here, as the interest potential is anyways already quite high. Guys, if you like this video, smash up a like, don't forget to subscribe, activate the bell, leave a comment down below. If you want to support all this free information I'm sharing with you and my strategies, please sign up with one of the links in the video description. You get the best conditions you can get in the market. There's no link you can get 20% reduced fees out there. So make definite use of this. And on top of that, you get nice sign-up bonuses that you can use to try out these platforms for free. And besides this, as I said, Levex is very nice for beginners. BitUnix and BitGet have a lot more trading pairs, so if you really are focused on altcoins, these might be the platforms you want to go with. Also check, some of these exchanges are not available globally everywhere, so you can also check which one is available in your region. Make use of that. And we are going to see us in the next one, where I'm going to tell you a little bit more about secret strategies that normally only market makers and VC use to make the most of their capital after a correction or in a bear market. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.